Welcome back to the React Room. I'm your boy Dom K. Back in here solo dolo again today. I've been waiting to do this review for a long time. You remember when me and, was it Dre? Yeah, I think it was me and Dre. I think me and Dre did the Daechwita. And when we heard this, I said to myself, I was like, yo, is this a diss song? I was like, I don't really understand what's going on, but I think this is a diss song. And then Dre was like, yeah, man, I kind of feel that energy as well. But, you know, we never really deep dived into that. We just enjoyed the song so much and the other songs that we reviewed, we just let it go. But I'm curious to know what this video is. You know, Dkdktv is a great channel and it's explained by a Korean. So I'm curious to hear what this song is actually about. Is it a diss? Is it not a diss? Is it about breaking through the industry? Is it not about that? Or is it just about, is it like old Korean history? I don't know what this is about, but we're gonna probably find out. So this is Dkdktv explain what Daechwita is, explained by a Korean.
SUGA has delivered another hard-hitting mixtape titled D2. The first AgustD album, released in 2016, focused on the tough times SUGA faced when he was a teenager. SUGA's at a very different place now. He's much older and he's much more successful. And this album focuses on the changes of his feelings after becoming one of music's biggest superstars. It's a very honest album, and my personal favorite off of this is the title track, Daechwita. It's an ultimate flex track slash warning slash reminder with tons of historical references, so let's take a look into it.
Yeah. Oh.
Daechwita is Korean traditional marching music that was played when kings or royalty were moving about or important guests would visit, as well as when army would be marching. There are two main characters in this music video, a King SUGA and a bottom class SUGA. We can see that the King SUGA is a tyrant. He has everyone kneeling down with the faces down in the ground. And he beheads people who have complaints in this scene. You can see the Shinmungo here. People in the Joseon dynasty would hit this drum if they had something that they've been wronged. They'd hit this drum and the king or someone up in the hierarchy would come and sort out their problems. Except here, King SUGA is killing the people who have such complaints and issues. But the bottom class SUGA, with the help of BTS and army represented by the 6 other men and a woman in the scene, starts a coup. He drives up a car with the men representing BTS and also a cute painting of Bang PD. By the way, this painting has its origins in a Jungkook drawing of Bang PD. It's pretty funny. The King SUGA sees this and gives a thumbs down and captures the bottom class SUGA. The King SUGA wants to kill him and does this graceful sword dance, which apparently SUGA learned in 2 days. Meanwhile, bottom class SUGA, blindfolded and tied down, starts headbanging, singing Daechwita. Remember how I told you that Daechwita was played when kings were about, or when the army would be marching? The bottom class SUGA singing this is an announcement that he is actually the real king. He feels like he's the king. The people under the king, the very ones that were kneeling to him in the beginning, are now joining SUGA, headbanging with him. This Daechwita is also for them. These kneeling people are armies marching together with the bottom class SUGA.
That's crazy. So, bro, that was a lot to unpack. See, this is crazy. So the 6 guys representing BTS. I wonder who the girl represents. And okay, so this is what they played when armies were marching. Okay, this is crazy. Okay. And also, from what he's saying is the king was beheading people and he thinks he's the rightful king. Man, see, I knew it. SUGA's a genius. I I knew this video was more, I told Dre when I saw it, I said, bro, this video is more complex than what we imagined, bro. I was like, I said, I knew, if you go back and watch my reaction, I'm gonna tag this and this. I said, bro, I know this is a diss song, and I know this is way more complex than what we understand with all this historical references. That's crazy.
At the end, the executioner who was supposed to take down the bottom class SUGA actually frees him and gives him a gun. Bottom class SUGA grabs this and shoots the king. I think the MV and the song is a metaphor for BTS and ARMY taking down the existing system and the ruling forces of the industry. The King SUGA represents the system, the existing system, the few powerful companies that had control over the industry before BTS came to the scene. Bottom class SUGA is SUGA himself in a small company with basically nothing, as if he was born into a bottom class, and winning the people over, eventually taking down the king with BTS and armies. I think SUGA picked the perfect motif to convey his message. And if you look at the historical references, you'll be more amazed at how clever this all is. Well, this single verse has a lot to unpack, but let's just start with this line. The Joseon dynasty, which is most likely where the song is set in, had a strict class system where there was a heavy discrimination based on which class you were born into. Slaves were not even considered human. They would be traded in cases their owners didn't have enough money, and they were thought of more as just things. Think about the mistreatment that BTS received earlier on in their careers. They faced heavy discrimination due to them being from a small company, and they were mistreated. So it's easy to understand why SUGA called himself a slave here. Slaves in Joseon were almost completely blocked off from advancing to higher classes, so for a slave to become a king is basically impossible, but SUGA's saying he made it happen. The following line is a reference to Kwang Hae-gun, the king of Joseon dynasty in the 17th century. He developed paranoia while in power and notoriously became violent and reckless, hence the line, "Berserk Tiger, Kwang Hae flow." But I think there are more reasons SUGA referenced Kwang Hae in the lyrics, especially if you consider what his life was like. Kwang Hae-gun had a very roller coaster of a life. Originally, he was a war hero, defending Joseon against the Japanese invasion of 1592, one of the biggest wars in Korean history. His father, who was then king, had fled when the war broke out, and the 18-year-old Prince Kwang Hae led Joseon troops in the battlefield. Rarely at this time did kings or to-be kings go out into the battlefield themselves. So Kwang Hae, fighting with the people, won their hearts over, and there were movements to throne him as the king instead of his father. The father felt threatened by this, so he made a lot of political efforts to stop Kwang Hae from gaining influence. Eventually, Kwang Hae became stuck between two large political powers, and this struggle eventually made Kwang Hae go paranoid and become violent and reckless. Ultimately, he was dethroned after a coup. I think SUGA somewhat relates to Kwang Hae, as he himself had been through a tough adolescence, having to go out into the battlefield at an early age, just like Kwang Hae did. He was an idol with no money, from a small company stuck in an industry dominated by big corporations. When SUGA started winning battles and gaining power, he must felt a lot of efforts from the existing big powers to keep him away from the throne, like what Kwang Hae experienced from his father when the people wanted him to become the king. SUGA mentions putting his past in the rice chest. For many Koreans, the word Twiju, or rice chest, is strongly connected to the tragic story of 사도세자, which involves him dying in a rice chest. 사도세자 was the son of then King Yeongjo, and his father was extremely harsh on him, humiliating him and scolding him in front of others at a very early age. This became so severe that 사도세자 attempted to commit suicide a few times, but even then, he was treated terribly. He developed what modern doctors diagnose as bipolar disorder and began acting very violently. Eventually, the king ended up hating 사도세자 so much that he orders 사도세자 to go into a rice chest. 사도세자 went in, and he was stuck inside for 8 days and eventually starved to death. 사도세자 had a troubled life, filled with being humiliated and mistreated, and mental health issues just not being understood. SUGA has been pretty open about his mental health issues he had when he was growing up, and I think he relates to 사도세자. He sees himself in him. He says he's putting his past in the rice chest. It's a declaration that he's putting the old troubled Yoongi, the 사도세자 Yoongi, behind and looking at what's ahead of him. In the second verse, SUGA focuses more on how he's now on the throne and he's better than everybody else. SUGA directly name drops Bang PD and also takes a shot at other artists who do drugs thinking that they write better music while they're high. I won't name any names here, but I'm sure you can think of an artist or a few artists for that matter that will be at the butt end of this. Some in bigger companies, in fact.
Ooh, boy!
The diss aside, this line is also a glimpse into Bang PD's relationship with BTS. In a typical company, it'd be extremely difficult to even mention the name of your boss this openly without putting the honorifics 님, especially considering how much a veteran and how much older Bang PD is compared to BTS. However, SUGA name drops Bang PD as if he was his friend. We can sense that there is a very close bond and assume that Bang PD is very democratic with BTS. The fact that SUGA is talking of Bang PD so casually is a flex of its own to others, as it's a sign that BTS has become so big and valuable to the company that he's at level with Bang PD. Now this is an interesting bit. Here SUGA uses the Korean word 현타. Hentai is an interesting Korean slang that is used all around the internet. Directly translated as wise man's time, it is a word to describe the feeling you get right after you've ejaculated, yes, ejaculated, and you feel no more sexual urges and you have a moment of clarity in your brain. You feel still, present, and sometimes disappointed that the short moment of satisfaction was all you got and you worked so hard for it. This slang originated from Japan, but it has become a staple in Korean everyday language, and it is widely used in everyday life outside of sexual situations. Usually in situations when you finally got what you dearly wanted and you wonder, that was it? SUGA's saying he's feeling extreme 현타 because he has it all. He has money, he has clothes, he has everything he ever wanted, and there's nothing, no one above him. While this could be considered a small cry for help, I think within the context of this song, it's more of a hard flex. He's saying, others can only dream of what I have, but now I got everything and I feel bored and disappointed. But you won't know how I feel because you never had any of this.
Alright, this is crazy. I'm gonna be real with you, man. This is a very advanced high level of rapping. And he's right. Most of you rappers would never, you can pop as many pills as you want. If you can't get this creative and you can't get this thought provoking, hey, I don't know what to tell you.
BTS has been on the top for the past few years, absolutely dominating, with a level of popularity that has never been seen in K-pop before. They're so dominant that it's sometimes easy to forget that they too had humble beginnings. In fact, more humble than most top artists out now today. They had to fight their way through discrimination, mistreatment, and humiliation. Daechwita is a reminder that this was where they started, and they took that system down. And it's also a warning that they had the resilience and the force to go through all of this, to go from slave to king. If you want us to make more videos like this,
I'm gonna be real, man. That I knew it, man. First off, that's an extremely, very informative video. For people like me who don't know Korean history and don't know all of the language, this really breaks down what I already knew. As far as I knew this song had a deeper meaning. But I'm glad that they have people out there that can explain these type of things and break it down so easily. From the historical references to the slave references to the ancient king references, to just everything in general, to correlating that with your life and telling a story in 3 or 4 minutes is just some of the best talent in the world. You don't have to do drugs to do that. You don't have to be high to do that. And I'm glad he said that. Like, there's nothing wrong with, if that's what you want to do, go ahead. I mean, it's your life, but to think that, I don't know, man, I wonder who he was directly talking to, because obviously he wasn't talking about American. It could have been about a lot of American rappers, but I don't know, the vibe I got from that was like he was talking about some people in Korea. I don't know. If you guys know, I ain't trying to be messy, but if you guys know who they were talking about, could you drop, I don't know, man. I know you guys too classy to drop names. I would love to know who they're talking about. I would love to know. But anyways, just, man, he's a genius. He's talented, man. I'm gonna be real, man. This is why SUGA, this is why all of their albums do so well, because they just so, you have to, music is about making people feel things and see things and get an experience that you can't get anywhere else. If you can tell a story in 3 minutes that can change the world, do it. And I feel like this 3-4 minute story of what he was talking about, man, it's just crazy, man, to put all of that in a 3-4 minute verse song. And it's great how Bong PD just lets them do their thing. And again, man, this is why they make the money they make. This is why they have the fan base they do. And again, man, it's just another level of talent. So I got a warning to you rappers who think you're gonna be sneak dissing, and all you people in these K-pop groups, if you think you're gonna be sneak dissing, you better stop, because I wouldn't want to be on this guy's bad side. That was just the wrong side to be on, man. But you guys tell me in the comments, man, what do you think about SUGA's? I always say the name wrong, but I'm gonna try to say it again. Daechwita. So what do you think about that song? What do you think about this explanation of that? Dkdktv did a great job breaking it down for me. Did you take that? What do you take from this video, man? And how do you feel about this story that SUGA told? I'm gonna call him AgustD, because that's what they got on the screen for this song. So what do you think about this song AgustD told? Did you connect with it after hearing this? Do you feel like more artists should try to do stuff like this, where they explain historical references and they use different things to bring you in? Or do you feel like you don't really need that from artists? I feel like we need this from artists. I feel like this is what we've been asking for. I want to think when I'm listening to music. I always say RM is a high level, this is high intellectual rap. This is highly intellectual rap. This is thought-provoking music. This is what I call it. SUGA is thought-provoking music. So again, guys, you tell me what you think about it, man. I'm curious to hear your thoughts. Like, share, comment, subscribe. Always with love. Peace.